Edge live. I mean, this is about as live as it gets. John was patiently waiting in the studio, which
Like
is
20
which
minutes early.
which is fantastic. Hair perfect. You can actually see him on the screen, which sometimes we don't even see him on the screen. And then, John, I had two wonderful conversations back to back. One of them was with a member of the community. His name is Alton, and Alton's been hard at work for a while on his business, and he's had a few really great breakthroughs. And then I was catching up with Magdalena, who was at the master class that we had on the 27th of May at 7 p.m., and just getting to know each other. And she showed up with red glasses and a red shirt. So did I. So I'm like, we're made for each other.
That's awesome.
So we were just having a great conversation. So I'm sorry I'm a bit late. Where are you? Catch us up on what you've been up to.
Yeah. I was in Los Angeles this weekend with my older son, my younger son, and had a great weekend. We went to the Dodgers Phillies game on Saturday night. It was great. Had great meals, great food, drink, great fellowship. Just awesome to be out there. Awesome to see Ben and JJ kind of riffing together on their aspirations in theater and creative arts, and JJ's career is taking off with his job in media production and working on a script and working on a couple of projects. So it was just so great to be out there. But I'm now back in Philly. I'm back in
Yeah.
the grind, and we're here. So here we go. We're in back in North Philly.
You used the word fellowship. And so I think that's a great word to use. And we can, is fellowship synonymous with community? And this show today is about community. And the way we titled it is Stop Building Alone, Why Community Changes Everything. And I mean everything. Because over the last month and 2 days, community has helped me and my family through the triple bypass surgery that we unexpectedly went through. And community is something that I've been building for many years, and I know you have as well. Relationships matter, community matters, fellowship matters. So when we talk about why founders try and build alone, I always think it's an interesting thing. Why we feel the need to build alone, especially when there are communities out there and people like you, John, and people like our Ed Sales Elevation Experience community who want to help. So why do founders try and build alone? Why is that the first instinct?
I think that there's a lot of the Steve Jobs or the Bill Gates factor in that. I think people want to see themselves on the cover of Time magazine as the person who did it. Elon Musk now, the face of Tesla, the face of SpaceX. But I do think that it's especially important to think about community and think about fellowship, and especially in education innovation and ed tech. We're dealing with cross-functional requirements. A designer has to work with a marketing person, has to work with a deeply technical person to get it right, to come up with an engaging, pedagogically aligned, easy to adopt solution. And rarely have I seen a founder who possesses all the skills and all the talents to be able to put those cross-functional pieces of the puzzle together by themselves. So I believe community and cross-functionality is critically important in this journey that we're on called education entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. And I've been lucky enough to build some really great communities as my businesses grew. I had several hundred tutors when I built my tutoring company starting in 2008. Those tutors were able to support each other before the days of a WhatsApp group or a Slack channel. We got together and we supported each other. Then in my second business, which was an after-school enrichment business, I was able to bring PTA presidents together, and they were supporting each other geographically from DC to Connecticut. And what was working for a PTA in McLean, Virginia, most likely would work for a PTA in Rye or in Westchester, and I was connecting those folks. And so that was really nice to see. In your businesses, were you able to create community just because of the business that you were building and bring people together?
Yeah. So, first of all, the mission and vision statement of, say, our Catapult Virtual Accelerator is that we connect entrepreneurs, researchers, practitioners, all within an entrepreneurial community of practice. It's really important that we have that word community in our vision and mission statement, because it does take a village, and it takes these cross-functional skill sets, people from different perspectives to come together to come up with an innovation that has bite, that will lead to investability, sustainability, and ultimately scalability. So in all of my entrepreneurial successes, I've had a lot of failures. That was the one thing that really came together very well. And that is that we were able to build community. We were able to come together. We were able to share insights. I used to say, interestingly enough, that as a founder of an ed tech company, the mark of success was when somebody like me, who could think strategically, could also think technically, and the technical people on my team could think strategically. So the CTO could come in and not just say, tell me what to code, but tell me about the business case. Tell me about the user journey. Tell me about what we're trying to do with our brand and our messaging. And let me integrate those thoughts and those convictions into the technical design. And as a strategist, I would have to come in and say, oh, I need to really think about COPPA compliance or FERPA, or what is a GWID, or what is an end user licensing agreement, and how does that relate to ethical applications of AI and machine learning. So I think it is really critically important to both come together in community with people who are come from different diverse backgrounds, and get out of your own comfort zone. If you're a founder who is skilled in marketing, then you need to come and meet with the cross-functional team members who can educate you on the technical implications of building an education and innovation. If you are a former high school English teacher trying to build a literacy platform, it's important that you meet with people who understand full stack development, how to understand how to implement a science of reading protocol or program through a technical lens. And it's those who came together in community, stepped out of their comfort zones, and could kind of convey vision, mission through a cross-functional lens that I thought would ultimately make the difference.
So community is a business growth strategy, the way that you're putting it as well. It's infrastructure. Community helps you build trust. It gives you feedback loops. It creates a way for accountability. It helps you to learn faster. And when we think about community as well, we also know that the right room can change the trajectory of a founder or of a business. And so you have to have that room, and you have to bring that community together. So community can be the community you create with your own business. It could be the community that you are associating with outside of your business. Community building, and I can tell you this firsthand, is harder than it looks. When we started to build the entourage, our community of entrepreneurs, educators, founders, product people, all in the education space, we decided we would build the community using the platform Go High Level, which has been a wonderful CRM for us, who also, they believe you can build community on top of Go High Level. I'm not saying it's not possible, but that is not Go High Level's wheelhouse. And School, SKOOL, Sam Ovens and Alex Ramosi, it is there for community building. My coach, Andrew, told me, use School. And I said, no, I'm going to use High Level. So we used high level, we got 0 members out of the gate, and right now we're up over 430 members in probably less than 90 days. The lesson learned there is to use the tool that is most efficient for people to join. Do not make it tough for them to join, and then make it easy for them to communicate. Make it easy for them to network, make it easy for them to grow. And in our experience, school was the tool to do that. When you think about Catalyst and your lessons learned of growing that community, what can you bring to the table here to tell people, hey, if you're going to build your own community, try and avoid these mistakes?
Loaded question. I'm going to throw a both and here. I think the question about community is both. It's not as easy as it looks, but it's not as hard as it seems. How about that one?
Okay.
We knew in the pandemic that we needed to build a community of entrepreneurial practice from diverse backgrounds and people who wanted to come together in this community of entrepreneurial practice. And you're right, Josh. We sat down and the first thing we said is we need a community manager. We need somebody who knows what they're doing to bring this together. And once it started to come together, it became very natural that people wanted to convene, whether that was on entrepreneur breakthroughs, or that was in our Catapult Advanced membership, where we have our 4 lanes of acceleration, and you have a community engagement module inside of there where you're meeting with mentors and advisors, or catalytic conversations, which is something you're going to start building inside of our community to facilitate good conversations and facilitate this community of common ground where people are really stretching and reaching and trying to differentiate their solution to solve some of the most persistent problems in education. So I think it is hard. It has to be intentional. It isn't as easy as it looks, but it also shouldn't be so daunting that you give up and don't try. Let me build on that too and just make another comment. I kind of smiled as you were going through it, and you raised something that I think is really important, that community isn't just important through a professional lens. It's also important through a personal lens, and not to get too personal, but I think back on the trials and tribulations in my career and the journey being an entrepreneur, something that you've talked about, Josh, that literally made you physically ill, right? Something that really knocked you, off your blocks, and it turned into something that we've continued to talk about. I remember when some of my friends in Los Angeles, when I was building the company that ultimately had an exit, saw me just running through airports and running myself ragged, said, hey, let's have a men's group. And we came together every Thursday night from 6 to 9 around a campfire behind someone's house in Culver City. And I never forget T-Bart, and we were all different backgrounds. Some of us were married, some of us were single, and we said, okay, what are our ground rules? And it was so funny because Rob Howard said, the one ground rule, the only ground rule is we're not talking about sex. And it was kind of cool because half of us were married and kind of in challenging relationships. Not me at the time, but half of us were single and running around in Los Angeles, and we just couldn't come for 3 hours and talk about the easy things. Right. We really wanted to talk about the hard things. And so that was a personal, you and I are in a fun, an interestingly named community with 3 people, 4 people who have different backgrounds. And it could just be a meme. It could just be a quote. It could just be a picture that has us, come together in community to say, you know what? Today really fucking sucks, but we're going to get through this together. And I think that means a lot. It gives us hope, keeps us grounded, keeps us moving forward.
I agree. And so we need to make the point that community is not about a platform or a system, because you can build community around a campfire in California. You can build community around school, SKOOL, and the entourage. But I want to back up to something you said, which is just build. Just start. Start with Start with 2 or 3 other people, or have bigger aspirations and know that you want to get to 400 and whatever it is we're in the entourage, but you have to just start. And there is no perfect time to start building community. You just have to get going. There are, though, perfect metaphors. And when I was in the hospital on May the 2nd, John came by and had some wonderful words of wisdom, smiles, hugs, tears, and gifts. And one of them was this book, Theo of Golden, which I have come to find out that every single person who I know is reading this phenomenal book. It is probably, now that I'm saying this out loud for the first time, it's probably the first time that I've ever truly connected on a book with my mom.
Wow.
You know, and we're both reading it. And I was reading it on Saturday morning and got to page 100 and 101 and learned a word, murmuration, through the book. Murmuration is where a flock of birds move together. No single bird controlling everything. It's collective movement. It's collective awareness. And so that word murmuration is what community feels like it is when it's at its best. It's that birds flying together, you know, people helping each other move, people adjusting together, and people creating momentum together. So, is murmuration a word that you knew before? Did you see it in the book? And why don't you give people a little bit of an interpretation of Theo of Golden as a community building metaphor?
Yeah, no, I certainly didn't know the word murmuration. I did remember it, but there's so many great nuggets in Theo of Golden. I recommend the book highly. A couple of really great other quotes that relate to murmuration and relate to, I think, the inner message, and there are many of the book. I think the quote was, "God gave us faces so that we could see each other better." I thought that was really good. And the message around Theo Golden is also be still, which is a saying on a bracelet that you have.
I have it.
And I think that one of the other great quotes is related to being still and sitting in it when you're really feeling down and you really need to get through something, and not just blurting it out. Maybe sometimes not even blurting it out to the community, right? Sometimes there's a time and a place to be still and to sit in your shit. And one of the other quotes that I loved from Alan Levy, from Theo Golden, is, "His decision to live small made him larger than life." I thought that was cool too. And this is the whole message of the book, is he goes to a town and he buys well, I'm not going to give it away. I think people should read it and have their own interpretations, but there are many spiritual, profound messages in Theo Golden, and it sounds like you got one of the biggest ones on murmuration. So I really I'm proud of sharing that, and I hope that people in this audience consider reading it. It's really a game changer.
How can you relate without giving away this amazing book, that because each page you're like getting more and more excited? How can you relate community building to Theo of Golden?
Without giving away the book.
That's tough.
I think it comes down to you may go into a place and see a lot of pictures on a wall. And sometimes when you go into a place and see a bunch of pictures on the wall, they can just be images and pictures, and they have their own meaning when you look at them. But when you make a decision to meet the people in those pictures who are on the wall and understand their story and relate to them and draw meaning from them. And then share some of the stories from some of the people that you meet with other people that you meet. And you bring the people together in some certain way, and to bring those stories, to bring that hope and that faith, and to bring the faces together. That in and of itself creates community. Creates community in the birds who are flying together, leading each other, whether it's hibernation, whether it's migration, whatever it might be. I think the message is we draw strength from each other, and we don't have to be the biggest voice or the biggest face or the biggest Steve Jobs on Time magazine in the room. Sometimes our place and sometimes our purpose and sometimes our meaning is a lot bigger than that. And so that quote really, really got me. That Theo's decision to live small, and he was a big guy, right? Made him larger than life. And I think that's a really good one for those who are in community. How can you speak small, communicate small, but carry a big stick with your presence? That might mean you're helping other people. That might mean you're being of service. Might be that you're getting outside of yourself when your problems get so big by helping somebody else, and giving strength to yourself by being of service to somebody else when the chips are down for yourself in that particular time.
My wife would get mad at me for making a joke, but I have to. This guy who I'm looking at, beauty and brains. Because I posed a really tough question to you, one that you and I truly haven't discussed. And that's one of the really cool things I think about this show, is that you and I send multiple text messages on most days to each other, or pick up the phone and call each other, but you can't cover everything in a phone call, and you can't cover everything in a text message. So this conversation about Theo of Golden as it relates to community, although we have a show script, is not something we have discussed. So that was a real question, and you answered it from deep in your heart. And I appreciate that. A murmuration isn't about one bird. It's about what's possible when people move together. And so to your point, all of us are moving together, whether we are doing this on a personal level, going through a triple bypass surgery, whether we're doing it on a professional level, growing a business, growing a community like Catalyst, growing a community like the Entourage, pivoting your business. My business is now called the Ed Sales Revenue Machine. You and I have to talk about that. But what you don't have to do is build alone. And that brings us back to the original idea of this show. Community changes everything. It has done it for Theo of Golden. It has done it for John of Philadelphia. It has done it for Josh of Washington, D.C. And we're all here for you. So John, I'm going to turn it back to you. And you can have the final word here, because you've had some really inspirational words around community building. What's the final takeaway for the people who are listening when it comes to community and building your ed tech business?
Something just came to me as we were talking again, unscripted. I'm here with my son. He's running some errands right now. He's not here, and I probably wouldn't share it if he's here. It would embarrass him. But he's doing 17 years old, reading a lot of philosophy books, books on Buddhism, really trying to find himself. I'm so proud of him. And the thing that comes to mind in terms of building community is sometimes the community is built through weakness and not strength. And I think it's important to note that when you're in community and you hear somebody that has a need or is hurting or is struggling or is failing, fail fast, fail smart, there's an opportunity there not to say, oh, there's weakness, but maybe there's strength in that weakness because you can be of service. And I was late to an appointment with Ben yesterday, and on the way back, he said, you know, Dad, it's not that we were late. You don't need to be perfect. It's that you need to learn from making that mistake and just own it. Don't try to defend it. Don't try to cover it up. Don't try to spin it. Don't try to put the masquerade. Don't try to, just own it and let it go. And I was like, man, where did he get that? So how can we relate that coaching to community? Sometimes it's not as important to bring certain strengths or skills or value to a community. Sometimes bringing just your raw self, just the mess that you're in, just your cry for help, and maybe just your, hey, today I don't really have anything to add here, but if somebody needs me, I'm here. Reach out. And boy, is that, if a community has that kind of commitment, that you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to be strong, you don't have to be valuable, you just have to be there.
Just show the fuck up.
Yeah, just show the fuck up. And man, sometimes I have a knucklehead and a 17-year-old, but boy, sometimes the sage advice of just own it and move on. That's it.
Yeah.
So powerful.
We had to say it that way because those words just came out of my mouth of just show the fuck up. But we really mean it. Whether you are starting your community, just show up. Whether you are a member of a community, just show up. Whether you are a member of our community, the Entourage, or Catalyst, or listener of this show, just show up, whether it's a good day or a bad day or somewhere in between. Somebody will get you. John, thank you for always getting me. It's a two-way street always, and many more streets for your family and mine. And anybody who needs help, we're here for you. And we'll see you guys in a couple more weeks. Let's keep building this wonderful community.
Yeah, let's keep doing it. My best to your community, your tribe there, and Camila and Bettina. And I'll see you soon, for sure.
Thank you, everybody.